Welcome to Junkyard Haunts, where we turn trash into haunts. Today we're going to be making a bloody arm that is actually dripping blood that maybe looks like blood. To do this, we're taking a milk jug and we're not turning it into a skull. You didn't even think that was possible. But then I'm taking a fake large bone that I have, and I'm going to add corpsing to it. Now, since this is an actual plastic large bone that I'm using, and I'm using a heat gun on these plastic, I believe, bread bag, you gotta be very careful because you can actually melt the plastic below it too. To add more like skin tags and stuff still left on our giant bone here, I'm just going to add some more grocery bags or whatever other plastic that you have laying around, just to go ahead and add a whole bunch of texture and make it look real nice. I guess nice is probably not the best term to use. And to color it, instead of paint, I'm actually going to try something different here. I'm going to use some stain. I have some brown stain, and I'm just going to rub that onto the plastic and then take some paper towel and wipe off the excess. This takes a very long time to dry, so if you're in a hurry, stick with paint. But stain creates a nice look to it instead of paint. To add that more skin or like more meat to the arm part, we're just taking some cardboard just to build up some thickness around so it's not just the bone. I have no idea what animal this would be because this is a ginormous bone. But of course, because I hate cardboard, I am going to hide it with some paper mache. I only hate it in looks. It is very functional and very good to use. After it dries, we're just going to cut off the rest of the bone and then glue it onto our milk jug, and using a lot of tape to make sure that the arm does not come off. And then we're going to cover up all of that cardboard and paper mache, and while we're at it, we'll just cover up the tape with some more black paint that we had used on the whole milk jug. The milk jug being black is not probably the most important. It's just to make sure that nothing shines through, because we are going to be covering it up with some burlap. To add some more bloodiness to it, I'm just getting some dirty red and almost like doing a little bit thicker of a dry brush on the bone itself. You can see here that it looks like it is actually solid and stuff, like a solid paint job, but it really isn't. It is very, only bits and parts of it are painted this red. To get that flesh back in there, we're just going to use a flesh color paint and mix some red in with it very poorly, and just add some red to that flesh paint before it's even done drying, and that will kind of make it look more like an actual bloody arm. And I think that turns out pretty good. Don't forget to subscribe. We make props every Monday. Now, to cover the whole milk jug, we're going to be using burlap and some white glue. Because we want to still be able to get inside the use of this milk jug. We want to we want the arm to actually be sticking out. We're just taking small pieces of burlap and using the white glue to kind of make like an opening to it, while using the white glue to actually shape the burlap. We'll cover the entire piece of burlap in this white glue, and that will make it look like the bone is actually ripping out of the milk jug, which we won't be able to tell is a milk jug by the end, hopefully. And it will make it look really cool. And once we get that part dried, that's the most important part. Then we're just going to cover up the rest of the milk jug in this burlap. And that's why it's probably not super important that it was painted black, because we're just hiding it all. But just to be safe, I just painted the whole thing black. And just like the other parts of the burlap, we're just using white glue to cover it all up, to shape it, and to make sure the burlap does not come off of the milk jug. And every inch of my burlap was covered in white glue, so you will need a lot of glue for this. And to hang this up so that it can hang and the blood can drip out of it, just cutting a hole where the handle was and feeding a rope through it and tying that rope off. And then we're going to go through and actually age our burlap. In order to do this, we're just dry brushing some brown paint onto the burlap, just all throughout, a darker brown than what the burlap actually is. And then just to add more age to it, we're actually going to be doing the same thing with a black paint. We're just dry brushing it on. And the rope too, feel free to dry brush the rope. And to actually make this look like it's dripping blood, we fill up the gallon jug with some water and food colored red, and you poke a tiny little hole in the bottom and it will just slowly drip out blood. Thanks for watching that video. Make sure you hit subscribe and go watch all the other videos I've made, because they're amazing. This does drip some blood. If you want to put blood in there, it will drip as fast as you poke the hole into it. You just hang it up from high up and it will slowly drip. So I thought that would be a cool little touch to add to it. But of course, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to poke the hole in it or fill it up. But I would suggest filling the weight up in there, because it will not hang properly unless there's weight in there. Also, if you just want to freak people out, I guess, you could just make this not poke a hole in it. And of course, drink out of it as your normal water bottle. I would not make this as pointy right now, because that will hurt your face.